Volition's main focus is on developing Nu-Q tests. A Nu-Q test is a test to look in people's blood for tiny fragments of chromosomes that come from cancer cells, dead cancer cells. In any cell, when the cell dies, the chromosomes get chopped up into tiny little fractions called nucleosomes. Most of these are metabolized and recycled and go into rebuilding new cells. A few end up in the blood, and everybody has a few in the blood, mainly from dead white cells. If you have cancer, there'll be extra chromosome fragments in your blood, and these come from the tumour cells. And the chromosomes in tumour cells are different than they are in healthy cells, and our tests are essentially designed to find chromosome fragments that come from dead cancer cells. Of course, some cancers are already screened for. So colorectal cancer is screened in the US by colonoscopy directly, and in Europe we screen with fecal tests. But actually these are quite unpleasant, and about a third of people will not do either fecal tests or colonoscopies in the US. Blood tests are much better. People are generally compliant with blood tests. When you have a test for sugar to see if you have diabetes, people don't refuse this test. And so what we aim to do is to make compliance with cancer tests as high as it is for diabetes tests and cholesterol tests. Just to give you an idea, our test uses microliters of blood, maybe 100 microliters, and a sugar cube is 1,000 microliters. So we would use a tenth of that for our test. Most people are focused on looking at the DNA, and that is expensive and actually quite difficult to do. We're focused on looking at the whole fragment, not just the DNA portion of it. There are lots of advantages to our approach. One advantage is that we don't need to look for one particular mutation amongst the thousands of genes, and that gives us a huge amplification boost, if you like, because we're looking at the whole of the chromosome fragments present. The other advantage is that because we're looking at the whole chromosome fragment, including the protein and the DNA aspects of the fragment, we can use a much cheaper technology called ELISA, which allows you to measure things at a cost of a few dollars. And this technology is the basis of all the current blood tests anyway. It's the basis for the PSA test, it's also the basis for the pregnancy test, all low-cost tests. There are essentially four main types of Nu-Q assays. All of them have patents protecting those tests. In Europe, we have protected both the chromosome fragments as biomarkers of cancer and the methods of looking at them. In the US, we also have all of the methods for looking at those cancers and treating people with cancers that are detected using our Nu-Q tests. In order to get good results, you need to be testing hundreds and preferably thousands of people so that everything's statistically valid. And of course, that's the sort of study that we need to do for regulatory purposes to get the products approved for use in Europe, America, and across the world. And we're now at the stage of going into these very large studies. I'm hugely excited to be working now, at the beginning of the 21st century in cancer, because I think that we really are on the cusp of huge advances in cancer generally, in detecting and diagnosing cancer and catching it early, and in treatment as well. In terms of what I do with Volition, it's the pinnacle of my career, really. I just think that it's just a privilege, really, to be involved in looking at something that may literally change the world. I hate saying things like that, but actually it's true. Our success will change the world for cancer patients.